We are now joined by UFC lightweight Luis Pena. Thank you for joining us today.
Uh,
We, we are now joined by UFC lightweight Luis Pena. Luis, can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Our first question is with Danny Segura. Danny, your line has been unmuted.
Hey Luis, how's it going? You just mentioned it right there. It's kind of weird. So, what's this whole process been like during COVID times? And are you? I guess it seems that you're not enjoying it as much as a normal fight week. I guess.
No, not at all. I am not enjoying any of the COVID-19 protocols they're putting us through at all, man. Like that, one of the things I love about fighting for the UFC is how easy and streamlined they've made fight week and the whole process. But unfortunately, everything's out of their hands. You can't blame them for what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. And this is about that. On paper, looks pretty exciting. Can you kind of size up and tell me sort of your thoughts on your opponent, Khama Worthy?
I mean, I have a lot of respect for Kama. He's got power in his hands. He's a very good technical striker. He's going to be hard to put away. He's a tough guy, but at the same time, I believe in my skills. But at this I think that just makes for a great matchup. I think many people have asked me, and I've gone back to the Andre Feely Charles Jourdain fight from a couple weeks ago. I really believe we can put on a very similar performance.
Yeah, and he hasn't fought in quite a bit. While you're someone that's always been relatively active, what do you make of his inactivity period, and do you think that'll play a factor at all here?
I mean, that's probably just things that happen, whether it be on the UFC's end or his end. I know he's had a few matchups that have fallen by the wayside since his debut. So, I mean, you can't really put anything on him when it comes to inactivity. I mean, I don't take anything away from him, and I still expect, the same Khama Worthy that came out there and knocked out Devontae Smith.
Yeah, for sure. And a win here, what do you think will put you in the division? I mean, you'd be basically, I believe you'd be what 4-1 in your last five performances. What do you think does? What do you think a win does to your career?
I definitely think a win puts me in a position where I at least start like I start fighting like top 25 guys or like I'm on the main card and I'm one of those guys that people are talking about working their way up in the lightweight rankings.
Yeah. And throughout your career, you've always sort of preached and talk about equality and love. So I kind of just wanted to get your thoughts on what's going on in the country right now and everything that's sort of came up, with police brutality and racism and all these other issues that have come up.
I mean, I think I hold a very interesting perspective being a half black man with an extremely Spanish sounding name born in Europe. Um, I see a lot of different cultures. I've been around a lot of different cultures. I was raised by a white woman and a Puerto Rican man and a white man. So I've seen a lot. It's very interesting from my perspective because I have family in just about every sect of culture you could imagine that's here in America, besides maybe Asian. And it's really hard for me because I see some sides of my family that just don't understand and don't get the way other sides feel, and yet they can look at me and not see me as a black man. They just see me as their family member. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's just complicated. It's a complicated situation we're in. I mean, once again, I'm an MMA fighter, and I do not believe my opinion on any of this really truly matters, though.
Yeah. But like you said, you've always been someone that sort of preached again equality and love. Does your message during these times become stronger? Do you just keep that up? How do you proceed on that end?
Without a doubt. I mean, this is one of the few times I really do wish I was able to bring the world flag out with me.
Mm.
Unfortunately, we still haven't been able to figure that out. but that is something that really does it resonates with me. I really do wish I could bring that flag out and preach that message. It doesn't mean I can't. I don't need the flag to do it, but at the same time, my message is still the same, man. We need to come together as a human race.
Yeah, for sure. And is that due to I guess Reebok policies, or why can't you bring out the flag?
I have no idea, to be quite honest.
Okay.
They
All
really haven't given me a lot of details on it.
right. Mhm.
I'm not really too worried about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, looking forward to your fight, man, and best of luck.
No problem. Thank you.
Next question is from Jay Anderson with Cape Cypress.
Hey, Lewis, welcome back. First of all, obviously, kind of weird circumstances coming into this fight with the pandemic. It's affected a lot of people's training, so I'm just wondering what your training camp has looked like during these times.
My training camp was phenomenal. We really didn't shut down operations too much at American Top Team, and fortunately, I was actually right before the whole quarantine and everything really got going. My girlfriend and I went to New Jersey to kind of go through some medical issues she was having, and so I actually ended up quarantined 6 weeks up in New Jersey. So I took quite a bit of time off after my last fight, but that was something I really wanted to do because this is my seventh fight in the 2 years that I've been in the UFC, and I don't think you really see a lot of people doing that. So I just want to take a little bit of time off. But then once I was ready to go, once my manager started telling me, that late June, early July might be the time period, I was immediately back down in Florida training, and we really did. I didn't have any there was no problem with me having a full intense camp. Like my main sparring partners were Jorge Masvidal and Dustin Poirier.
Now, you'd come out the other day and said, I'm going to meet Khama out in the middle. We just spoke to him, or I just spoke to him not too long ago, and he shook his head. He's like, no, he's not going to do that. He trains at ATT. He's too smart for that. Now, I'm not going to ask you to give away any game plan, but when you hear him come back and say he won't do it, is it a motivating factor to maybe go and stand with him?
See, my actual game plan is to locate that thermal exhaust port and detonate that, take him out first round. Once we do that, it's all exhaust port and boom.
I absolutely love that callback to Star Wars, man. I wanted to touch on another subject. Recently, you retweeted a comment about Robert Drysdale saying, he did everything right last weekend, and I'm just wondering if you could give your thoughts on that whole situation.
What's up?
Oh, can you still hear me?
Sorry there, we had a little technical issue, but let's get back to Jay Anderson.
That's all good.
All right, you able to hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. Yeah, I love the Star Wars reference. Absolutely. I want to get a take on something else from you. You retweeted a comment saying that Robert Drysdale did everything right last weekend. I'm just wondering if you could give your thoughts on that situation. And as well, have you ever had a moment in terms of needing your coach to motivate you to get back out there between rounds or anything like that?
Well, the reason I retweeted that and the reason I support Robert Drysdale and his decision and the way he handled that whole situation was because if I was in that situation ever, I would want my coach to try and motivate me to get back out there. However, that's never been something I've needed. I've never needed to my coaches to motivate me to go get back out there. It's never been a thought to me in between rounds not to go back out there and fight as hard as I can.
Fair enough. And last one for me then. You've been having some fun. I think a lot of people have with the whole Askren family thing. Has there been any talk between you guys and maybe when the pandemic's over and social distancing and all that, getting together for like a group photo or something?
That would be pretty dope. I mean, Chase Hooper and I have talked about training together. I want to get him out to Florida, so hopefully we can work on his striking. But other than that, nothing like too formal. But that would be pretty interesting, or at least like maybe at a UFC event we're all at. That'd be nice.
Absolutely, man. Well, best of luck this weekend. Looking forward to it, man.
Thank you guys so much.
Next question is from Carlos Contreras from Millennial.
Hey Luis, can you hear me there?
Yes, yes, sir.
You was just mentioned about that you wanted to fight someone in the top 25. You have any names? Because besides of that loss with Matt Frevola, that was a split decision. You've been in a really good run right now.
Um, I can't really think of any names per se off the top of my head, but there have been quite a few lightweight fights, but in the past these past events. And pretty much anyone that's gotten a win here recently. Um, I wouldn't honestly any of the guys that won last weekend. Bobby Green. What's his? There was another one. There was three lightweight fights last weekend. I watched really, really close. Oh, Jim Miller, Bobby Green, and then I can't remember the other one. But either of those guys, I wouldn't mind. Really, anybody in the division, anyone the UFC puts up against, puts in front of me, I don't care. I just fight.
Is the lightweight one of the toughest decisions to climb? I mean, being such a roster that with so many fighters in the lightweight division.
I do believe so. I believe the lightweight division's really, really tough to climb because as much as you can be winning and doing everything right, if you're not putting on exciting performances and you're not someone that the fans want to see, you're simply not gonna rise in those rankings because this division is probably one of, if not the most deepest division in not just the UFC but all of MMA. And with so many amazing talents in this division, everyone's vying for a spot. So you can't just be a winner; you have to be a little bit more.
Thank you, Luis.
No problem.
Our last question is from Augusto Hermaníez A from Somos MMA.
Hi, Luis. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Fine, thank you. You just said that you don't like all the things that you have to do due to the COVID-19 during the fight week. So I would like to know which is the worst part, the test with all the swab thing. What is the worst part of all that?
Just the perceived lack of freedom. I
Mhm.
just with the way and I mean, once again, it's out of the UFC's hands. They have to do this. But and it's also, it's more than just being the stuff going on here in the UFC. It's like the fact that like Nevada or Las Vegas still seems like closed down. I'm the kind of guy during fight week, I like to go out, I like to do things. I don't like to just sit in my room and toil away the whole week. So it's frustrating for me not being able to go out and like one of my big traditions is I watch movies. Like I go to the movie theater every fight week. I watch just movies, get my mind off of everything. So I'm just trying to use Netflix and all that to do that. But it's not a it's frustrating and it is annoying, but it is one of those things, you got to deal with if you want to make this money.
Yes, sure. And talking now about of the fight, what do you need to be careful of with Khama Worthy?
I really just I just need to be on point. He's really good. He's a good striker. We're both very good technical strikers, and he's got power in his hands. He showed it. So I just need to be aware of everything he's presenting me, and be aware and have my defenses, ready at all times. I usually do. I keep my hands up. My head's always moving. I'm very confident that as much as he thinks I'm gonna go in there and make this grappling fest, I'm very confident in my ability on the feet.
How do you feel about performing in an empty arena?
I fought on the Ultimate Fighter, so it really doesn't mean a thing to me.
Okay, okay. And what about the smaller cage? Which one do you prefer?
Once again, in the Ultimate Fighter, we fought in the 25-foot cage, and I fought in a 20-foot cage for Shamrock FC before. I fought in a boxing ring that was like smaller than the room I'm in right now. Fighting in a small cage is actually a pretty I think it bodes well for me because not only can you not run away from me when I'm putting hands on you, you can't run away when I want to grapple you. So I really do I like the thought of fighting in the 25-foot cage.
Okay, thank you very much, and best of luck on Saturday.
No problem. Thank you.
That's all we have for you today, Luis. Thank you.